Welcome to A Fortnight on the Isle. I am your host, King Crusoe. You can call me KC, and this time, well, I don't even really know what to talk about for the most part in this episode. I have my notes, of course, but the last couple weeks have been a little bit of a blur, and where many fortnights so far in 2026 have been a blur, largely on account of occupation, this time around it's been a little bit more of a blur because of just distraction and I guess a little bit of laziness included there a bit as well. That said, like I said, I do still have my notes of things to talk about here in actuality. It wasn't an entirely empty fortnight. I did a good bit of gaming early on in the fortnight. March Madness started, so I did kind of know life that last weekend. I also went and did some other stuff over the fortnight with like my dad. I went to an NBA game with my dad, for example. Also have made some plans for stuff coming up in the upcoming fortnight that I'll talk about a little bit later. Got some more word on my new actual job, which again I can also talk about soon, hopefully, finally. So, you know, some things have happened. It's just been a little bit more difficult to keep track of. It definitely feels like more than 2 weeks have passed on account of just, I don't know, the time just has kind of existed, I guess. But let's begin with the bi-weekly reading, what I got done on that front. Not a whole ton this fortnight, definitely a little bit less at least than I was planning on, than I was hoping on anyway. I did finish reading Towers of Midnight by Brandon Sanderson, the second of his entries in the series and the second to last book in The Wheel of Time, and I really enjoyed it. You know, I don't remember how far I was last time around when I first updated here. I believe I had said I had started it, but I don't remember how far I was at the time. I'll just say that the first half of the book was, you know, decent. It was good. It wasn't bad. The back half of the book was a lot better, but there was also a lot of aspects with regard to a particular storyline that I felt like were timed weird and that I think probably should have been earlier in the book. A couple of scenes that probably could have been done in a different way to have been included in the last book. The timeline wonkiness that occurs in The Gathering Storm and Towers of Midnight is way more of a problem in Towers of Midnight, and it almost makes its predecessor slightly worse because of it. That's just how much more noticeable it is. But I overall did have a really good time reading that. If you want to know more about that, I guess I'll be telling you when you can watch my review of that a little bit later in this video. So that is what I got read on the, you know, fiction side of things. My to be read section is basically just A Memory of Light. I'm going to be starting this book over this fortnight, and I doubt that I'll read the entire thing over these next couple weeks, just because I've been having a lot more struggles reading the last couple of weeks. You could say part of that was distraction with March Madness and stuff like that, but really just part of it has been a focus thing. I've been having to deal with some other personal matters, not of the negative sort this time around, more so just being distracted with other things going on. So we'll see how much I can actually get done, especially since, you know, on the short story side of things, we shall say, I read Percy Jackson's Greek Gods, and yes, this is like a book, or rather I haven't fully read it, you know, at the time of recording. At the time of this video's release, I'll have finished it, but this morning I was supposed to be like within 50, 70 pages of being done. Instead, I'm more like 150 pages away from being done, just indicative of that being distracted kind of thing, but it reads quickly enough that I should be done by the time this video comes out. But, you know, that's just, I was actually planning to read Greek Gods and also get Greek Heroes done before this fortnight was done, but the fact that I'm still not done with this yet is again indicative of just having some other things going on. So, you know, if that doesn't say anything, I don't know what will. On the theology side of things, I did finish reading Genesis this fortnight as well, and I will soon be getting to Exodus. So, yeah, that's the update on that front. As for the bi-weekly gaming, I did do a little bit of gaming, we'll say, over this past fortnight, but not as much as I was thinking, not as much as I was hoping to get done anyway. With regards to Ghost of Yotei, I did about 45 hours in the game up to this point prior to, at this video's release, yesterday's stream on the second channel. That's not much further than I was the last time I updated, and that's because the last time I updated, I only did a short stream right before that, and otherwise didn't stream, you know, a week ago because of March Madness. I decided to just do that and not stream, and instead to pick up the stream yesterday, but I don't know how much I played yesterday. I just know that at the time of this recording, I'm about 2/3 of the way through the campaign, probably 85% or so done with all of the side stuff just combined. So maybe there's a chance that when this video comes out, I'll be done with the game because I'll have streamed through the rest of the campaign or something yesterday. I'm not inherently going to count on that, but I ought to be done with it sooner than not at this point. I'm coming pretty close to the end. The other thing is God of War Sons of Sparta, which I did continue. I believe last week or last update I talked about how I was a few hours into it, that I was enjoying it despite a couple of frustrations like getting lost and stuff. Well, I did play a lot more of it. PlayStation tells me that I've played about 7 hours of the game, but according to my recordings, I have actually closer to 17 hours of the game played, which is strange. But I think I'm about 33% total completion. That's total of everything, not just the main story. I would guess I'm probably somewhere around 2/3 of the way through that story as well, maybe halfway. I'm not 100% sure, but I would guess I'm about halfway through my total playtime at this point. It's definitely a little bit longer than I thought, and I already knew it would be longer than I was anticipating, so that's disconcerting. And I thought I'd also be able to finish, like, frankly, both of these games by the time I got this video out, but didn't really get any gaming done after March Madness started. This past week I've been distracted with other things going on, and so even gaming didn't happen. So what do I plan to play this fortnight? It's just those two games. I just plan to finish those over the rest of, well, I mean, at this point, the rest of March. I guess my to be played is I also want to play Grime 2 over the coming fortnight because that will be coming out here in a couple of days. I forgot about that. But I would like to get those other two games finished first, just so that I don't have too much going on at the same time. With regard to the bi-weekly cinema, film, and television stuff, I did, in fact, watch Project Hail Mary like I planned to in the theaters. Really great movie, really great adaptation as well. I did do a video talking about that last Monday on the second channel. The main channel was also linked with that, so you can check out that if you want to hear my no-notes review of it. It was a pretty rambly one. I didn't have any real structure going into it for the most part, but I'm overall happy with what I was able to cover in that video on such short notice. So, you know, there's that. My to-be watched is The Passion of the Christ, which I did mention last time. I did want to watch that over the past fortnight, but again, it just didn't end up happening time-wise. I was going to make time for it this past week, but it didn't quite happen, so I will be watching that this week ahead of Easter, so I'll be able to update you on that next time. As for the upcoming releases, thank goodness I'm gonna start taking a little bit of a step back on some stuff. I still have something happening every day of this week remaining, but I'm going to be taking a little bit of a step back come April and May from something happening, a video posting or live stream or whatever, every single day in April and May. I have my calendar actually with video ideas and stuff written out for every single day, but I think I'm going to back off from that a bit, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in the next section. So this week on the 31st on the main channel will be my review of Towers of Midnight by Brandon Sanderson, so that will be where I talk a little bit more in depth about how I felt about that book as a whole in a spoiler-free fashion, or as spoiler-free fashion as humanly possible, considering it is the 13th book in a 14-book series, not including the prequel, which would be a 15th book. But, you know, that's going to be on Tuesday. On the 1st, on the second channel, will be my 9th brief review video on Alan Wake Remastered, so that will be coming out. And, yeah, I think that video is actually a good bit shorter than I was originally thinking it might end up being, so that will be a nice quick, actually brief review on Wednesday. On Thursday the 2nd will be another Wheel of Time diary, just has become normal these last couple of months. It'll be the first episode for A Memory of Light, so nothing super new there. On the 3rd, on Friday on the second channel, will be the first episode of the BioShock 2 Let's Play, so starting my run through that will be happening then. On Saturday the 4th should be my 8th live stream for Ghost of Yotei, because this past fortnight I did plan to stream each of those Saturdays, but then my schedule ended up changing a little bit. I moved a couple Book Binge episodes around to fill the Saturday slot since I didn't decide to stream that day, and then the Sunday slot was filled with what was going to be Tuesday's video, and then on that Tuesday, I forget what day it was, on the 24th I think it was, I actually did a collaboration with iSamwise. I appeared on his channel, so I'll probably link link to that video down below if you're curious to hearing about that. The first time I've been featured on anybody else's channel on a one-on-one conversation. So that was pretty fun, but that meant that there was a live stream that got missed over the last fortnight, and so I'm making that up with yesterday's stream and with this week's live stream, and I think that I'm 99% certain that I will be done with Ghost of Yotei after this Saturday. So that is the goal, sorry. Next week on the channel, I only have 5 things actually scheduled to happen instead of 7, so that's a little bit of a step down compared to the last couple of months. On, what is it, Sunday the 5th? Yes, next week will be my State of Affairs video for April, so just talking about what's happening this month for me, wrapping up the statistics and everything for March, so just going over that on both channels. On the 6th, next Monday, on the second channel will be Movie Magic. That'll be actually covering The Passion of the Christ. Like I said, I do want to watch that movie before Easter happens, and so I plan to do that and make a video about that experience to happen next week. On Tuesday the 7th on the main channel will be my March Book of the Month / reading wrap-up video and February TBR, so that'll all be happening next time. Just pretty normal first Tuesday of the month things going on, updating you about my reading in a little bit broader fashion and actually saying the book of the month. So that'll be next Tuesday. On Thursday the 9th, skipping a video on Wednesday, I'll do the next Wheel of Time Diaries episode, the second one for A Memory of Light. So nothing super new there once again. And then on Friday the 10th will be the second episode of the BioShock 2 Let's Play. But like I said, skipping a Wednesday video on the second channel next week because I want to cut back slightly on video production over the next couple of months, because, well, you know, I've got some stuff happening this coming fortnight that will be changing a little bit about my general work-life balance and my general flow of content as a whole. You know, one of the things to note about here is that I think I'm starting my new job here pretty much imminently. I do plan to post a video at some point in April that actually talks about that more in depth. I was thinking that I was going to be able to do that, you know, a couple months back, and I already like basically teased it. I announced it more or less preemptively way back at the end of 2025, so some people already know sort of what's happening there, but I wanted to mention it again and a little bit more explicitly once it actually happened, once I actually got hired. But there was a lot of governmental complications and stuff, hiring across state lines, that took way longer than it should have, quite frankly, just on the government end. So theoretically, I will actually be starting this fortnight, so pretty soon I ought to be able to tell you guys about that, but that does mean that I'm going to be actually adjusting to having a job again, actually having responsibilities that I need to spend my time working on that aren't video production, so that's going to be a big part of it. That's part of what the upcoming fortnight is going to be about. Like I said, just part of it anyway. But the other part of what's happening this fortnight, and rather it's going to be happening at the very end of the fortnight, to the degree that I will be able to actually make the next one of these update videos and actually, you know, be able to tell you that I'm just about to go on a trip. But because I'm going to be going on that trip on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I normally record these videos on a Friday or Saturday to post on Sunday, I won't be back from that trip yet. So I am going on a trip to the Northeast again, the weekend of the 11th. So this coming weekend is Easter weekend. It'll be the next week after that. So I'm going to be going to the Northeast again. It's for a business-related trip. I'm also going, well, I mean, the business-related trip is with regard to the Before I Turn concert, album release show for their newest album that's happening in Middletown, New York. So I'm going to be heading up that direction for just a couple of days. If anybody else is going to be at that show, I'll be there, so you can say hi, but I doubt that anybody watching this video will also be there. And I'll only be gone a couple days, but like I said, it'll be an interesting experience, and because it's going to be happening at the very end of this fortnight, that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you'll be getting another one of these updates where I'm unfortunately not actually able to tell you how that trip went. The next one of these videos I'm going to be recording on a Thursday probably to actually post on the Sunday like normal, but it'll be like, I'm just about to leave, so I'll see you next time type of thing. So I've got that too that I've been planning for and that I need to plan a little bit more for this time around, that plus the new job starting. So I'm going to be busy with those kinds of things. Going to try to take a slight step back from the content, like I said, and just try to find a new work-life balance with all of the things that I've got going on in my life now that that's starting, and with that trip happening very soon. So I'll probably be able to talk to you guys a little bit more about how that's going next time. All that being said, this is finally actually not a super long Fortnite on the Isle. Thank you guys for watching. I'll get out of your hair now. For now, I have been your host, King Crusoe. You can call me KC, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.